Now let's look at an example. Here's a company for 2 years. X8 and X9. We already computed return on equity was 13% and then it dropped to 9%. What was the question? The obvious question. Why did that happen? So we take return on equity, we break it down into its components parts. Let's take a look at X8 first. Their leverage ratio, 2.5. Efficiency, they were able to generate $2.4 worth of sales for every dollar worth of assets. And then for every dollar's worth of sales, 2.1% of that resulted in profit or net income. In X9, 2.8, 2.3, 1.4. So to answer the why question, was it because in X9 the company had less leverage? No. Actually, leverage had increased from 2.5 to 2.8. Was it efficiency that was the reason for the decline? A little bit. 2.4 down to 2.3, so they were a little less efficient. They used leverage more effectively. They were a little less efficient, but the big reason they had a lower return on equity, their profitability dropped from 2.1% down to 1.4%. Now, why is this important? Well, if I want to find out the reason, I don't go talk to the people in charge of my managing my debt. I don't go talk to the people, the treasurer who's in charge of money management. They were actually better at it. I don't need to go talk to the people who were in charge of efficiency. No, I need to look at the income statement and find out which of my expenses resulted in the decline from 2.1% to 2.4%. So I go to my income statement, I do a common size income statement and just identify which income statement items kind of got away from me. Then once I've identified those items, then I would go talk to the individual or individuals responsible for those specific expense items to find out what happened and what are we going to do to make it different. Now, here I compared X8 to X9. Let's take a look at a competitor here. They had, for the same period, 26% return on equity. We had 9%. The company that we're looking at had 9%. Why? What was the big difference? Well, one, they made better use of leverage, 3.7 versus 2.8, but the company here was more efficient at using its assets to generate sales than was the competitor. So that's actually good news right there. We're more efficient, but again, we see we were much less profitable. The big difference here, we were just much less profitable. So we need to find out what on our income statement is causing us to be less profitable, because that's significantly impacting our return on equity. Yeah, we can look at this and compare it to 3.7, and we ought to do that. In addition, we ought to look at our profitability as well. Now, if I'm the competitor, I'm going to drill down on this and say, how come I'm not as efficient at generating sales with my assets as is this company here? So I can use this for comparison purposes to find out what can I do better to cause my return on equity to go up. It's not always profitability. It's not always efficiency. It's not always leverage. Sometimes it's a combination of those factors. And as a result, it turns out the DuPont analysis tells us what has happened. It just the facts. It just reports the facts. If we want to know why these things happen, we've got to do some additional analysis. Again, the numbers tell us we've got questions. We've got questions. And specifically, those numbers will point us to people who can help us answer those questions. Seldom does the number provide the answer, but the number points you in the direction that will help you get the answer, and that direction typically involves going and talking to a person.